when attackers move at machine speed, waiting 30 days to patch is actually too late. And I believe this is a really key topic for, if we think about governance, risk, compliance, the GRC element of today. You'll note that vulnerabilities are swinging nowhere but up. Number of vulnerabilities is growing. We expect the CVEs to grow anywhere between 20,000 to 48,000 in the next 4 years. This whole process by which we handle and we carry out vulnerability discovery has changed because of AI, and especially frontier AI models. This time between discovery and exploitation is being compressed down, and most organizations still operate on a 30-day patch cycle, which just really won't work in today's environment. It's clear that frontier AI has collapsed the defender patch response time. Look at this graph that I've pulled up from vulnerability to exploitation. And you can see that, if you look back and you look back to 2018 or so, you maybe had a couple of years between when a vulnerability was found and an exploit was actually coded. You had a lot of time to go out and actually patch something or do the remediation. But that window has continued to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So if we look at where it's at today in 2016, it's under 24 hours. It's currently, at 18 hours or less. And that's just a huge decrease in time. So because of that, it's imperative that we think not this old way of doing patch management, but really think of a paradigm shift in how this is done. With every major technology wave we have, they follow the same pattern. And what I mean by that is the technology kind of races ahead. We've seen this with, encryption and cell phones and cordless phones and search engines and social media and oversharing. But now we're up to the point with frontier AI, and this has really started to change quite a bit. And let me explain why. If we think back to cordless phones, cell phones, early versions of them, and I remember when I got my very first cell phone, I could literally dial in on a Bearcat scanner that I had at the time on the right frequency, and I could pick up the phone call, or I could pick up the phone call of others in my neighborhood. And this was so much of a problem that the government actually stepped in and they made a change. You know what they did? They made it illegal for you to intercept those calls or for scanner manufacturers to sell scanners that picked up those frequencies. And so attackers still found ways around that. And even today, we see with things like the Flipper Zero, you can go and be able to pick out these frequencies that you can pull unencrypted data off of. And the core lesson here would really be that technology is constantly moving faster than security can catch up. But what came out of this? What came out of this was really, a multi-billion-dollar industry reaction that overhauled cellular phones to build in GSM and CDMA and what we see today. So technology moved ahead, and a lot of people thought at the time, well, this is not that big of a problem because even if people do this, they have to be close by, they have to be in the area. Then with search engines, when Google really took off and started getting big, remember Johnny Long released a book called Google Hacking, and with that, you could go out and put in these strings like file type, XLS password, or look for resumes that had social security numbers in it, and you could find massive amounts of exposed data that people had placed on the internet that unintentionally got indexed. And the response, once again, was over time, because of these leaks, because of this, we had creation of, web crawling, block lists, and other types of reactive enterprise perimeter cleanups to be able to block people from doing this. Then we've seen it again with social media and sharing, because I remember it's been years back now, but there were sites set up like Need a Debit Card, where they would go out and they would aggregate from all these different social media sites, and look where people had posted photos or images of their debit or credit cards, and people would literally put them online. And also sites like Please Rob Me that might look and say, hey, Mike's not at home this week. He's traveling. He's out of state. And they'd know to come break in my house because I wasn't at home. And you kind of think of this, on one level, it's that human behavior and that lack of privacy awareness. But look what came out of it. If we think of really phishing awareness, end user awareness training, all this that we see today really came out of this with these corporate mandates for really educating employees on what they should and shouldn't post online. So it changed it a lot. And then now, even today, look over the last few years, and we've seen threat actors coming in from North Korea that appear to be individuals from the US to apply for jobs. And they make these deep fakes that are very realistic and can be used to potentially get a job, get access to the network, get sensitive information, and then disappear. And this has come at such a rapid speed that that's where the changes come in. And that was just with deep fakes. Now look at what we see with these low-level vulnerabilities being chained together to dynamically gain unauthorized access to these systems. This is overwhelming the defense systems we see today, and this is really going to force an immediate transition to doing things differently than in the past, this paradigm shift. So what if we don't act? If we don't act and we don't do anything and we go on as business as usual, this is what we know. 50% of organizations overall were attacked last year. That disruption duration is over 6 months long by default. That's a long time for cleanup. The financial impact on average globally, it varies by industry and segment, but overall globally, it's about 4.4 million. But those that have used AI to fight AI attackers have seen about a $2 million decrease in those breach-related costs. So using AI to fight AI does give bang for the buck and deliver value. So two key components that I think really feed into this that's worth talking about is one, cyber threat intelligence. So think of cyber threat intelligence like a weather report. It's that collection, analysis, dissemination of information that we're looking at, and out of that information, it helps organizations understand their risk. You think of it like weather again as the analogy. Is there bad weather coming in over the Gulf of Mexico? Might that impact Houston? Is there a potential for earthquakes on the West Coast? Is there some storm in the Northeast? If it's in your area and it's going to impact you, you certainly want to know about it. If you have an organization and now you have 200,000 vulnerabilities and 20,000 high, what's actionable out of that? Whoever's doing the patching is going to say, which 100 do you want me to patch this month? We have to re-envision how we think of vulnerabilities. And CISA has actually done that. As of last month in June of 2016, we see that they've pivoted from the CVSS standard that's been used for many years. So that's changed. This CVSS mandate formally moved to a new way of doing this. And they've moved now to a stakeholder-specific vulnerability categorization framework. And it's a decision tree is really what it is. It replaces this basic 1 to 10 severity score with a binary decision tree that, as you go down, gives you the chance to really look at and change how these are looking at. Meaning it could be low one day and it could be high the next. So it depends on the situation. So is it publicly accessible? Is it on the KEV list from CISA? Can it be exploited? Can it be automated by AI? And what's the impact of it? The approach for this is to find the solution through value stream mapping. In value stream mapping, one of the founders, or really they're the developers of value stream mapping, would be John Shook. John Shook said there's 3 kinds of leaders. Those that tell you what to do, those that allow you to do what you want, and those that help you figure it out. And we have to be that third category. John Shook said what we have to do is we have to prepare and plan. We have to understand the current state. We have to design the future state. And we have to develop an action plan. So we change what people do first, and then the culture will change because of that. Think of the current value stream that we have for vulnerability remediation. I would say it looks something like this. We identify a vulnerability. That takes 24 hours or so. It gets placed in a queue. That's another 5 to 7 days. Then we do some analysis and research. That's another 2 or 3 days. Then we go through an approval queue. That might be another week. And then we get to the point where we do the patching. That could be another week to 2 weeks. And if you look at this and you think about it, the things that are holding us back in this case are not technical limitations, they're process inefficiencies. They're the way we handle the process. Because 80 to 90% of this MTTR is queue time, not actual delay. So what if we looked at this differently? And we looked at this cyber value stream and we said, we're going to do this a different way. One is we think of it and we go, we're going to, where we can, move from traditional patching to virtual patching. So we're going to decrease that exposure time down. We're also going to move to how we look at this to service level, really their operational agreements. So we agree on times for risk reduction. It's not ticket closure. It's that if this is really bad, it's 72 hours. Maybe if not, it's 7 days, or maybe it's 30. And then along with that, we automate this remediation workflow. So we remove all those days that we have of that administrative delay. And then finally, we adopt a risk-based 3-tier remediation model. So it focuses on what vulnerabilities are most likely to result in a compromise that are for assets that are publicly exposed. And if we make this change, we can give great value back to the organization. Follow this 5-step path. 1, we align on business outcomes. We prioritize based on risk. So we've established a common language for security, IT, and dev, which is risk. So leadership then has to decide, what do we do with the risk? Do we accept it? Do we transfer it? Do we mitigate it? We put this in a language they understand. We measure what matters. We shift focus strictly to aggregated risk reduction. And we've transformed the value stream at that point because we've delivered prioritized automated remediation. And then we've provided the leadership and our executive leaders with actionable threat intelligence that they can understand. That will allow us to go and do things like saying, you know what? We've reclaimed 35% of our capacity. We've now moved to a frictionless compliance process. Can you imagine in governance, risk, and compliance be able to say that? So we've been able to do that. And then the third one really is we've been able to keep a flat head count. It's very difficult in today's economic realities that we are in, the reality of today, to be able to get more people. So if we can compress that life cycle down, and then we can automate a lot of this, what we can do is then we can free up our staff. And we're going to free up our staff to do more things that they'd rather be doing than this and bring better value to the organization. So what I've talked about today is value stream approach of looking at vulnerability and patch management and where cyber threat intelligence really fits in for this. I hope you found this interesting. Thank you.